The smell, the feel, the taste. Coffee is more than just a drink, it's a way of life. A culture that brings people together to share a mug and tell a story. Africa is celebrated as having some of the best coffee in the world in terms of flavor, packaging, and benefits. With major corporations like Nestle and Espresso on the market, most people are actually unaware of Africa's major contribution to the coffee culture and industry, most especially in Zambia. I am here with the owner of Peaberry Coffee, Teija, and she's going to give us a little bit of information into what goes behind making a great cup of coffee. So obviously a lot of us drink a cup of coffee maybe during the workday or first thing in the morning, like myself. So what actually goes into making that signature cup of coffee that we all enjoy?
So in front of us here we have a roasted coffee, but it's a long way before we get to that point. And a lot of work goes into it. So first of all, in the farm, the whole growing process, it takes 2 to 3 years to grow a plant and get to the production with it, which makes it kind of challenging as an agricultural product. And then by the time you get to the picking season, so in Zambia now we are getting to the season and the coffee is starting to be ready. So it gets picked between May and August about 5-6 times, all the trees. Okay. And then you have a wet processing, dry processing, grading, all of that, which takes about 6 to 8 weeks before it's ready to be roasted. And then never mind about what happens after, because now we have baristas making the coffee and before you actually get to the cup of coffee.
So clearly there's a lot that we don't actually see behind the scenes. We just think cup, mouth, I'm awake now.
Yes, exactly.
But I also need to understand, so when it comes to labor, obviously, that's a lot of people that you have to make sure that are making sure that all of the coffee grinds and all of the coffee beans that we have are of the best quality. How easy is it to access the human labor or human resource in order to find all of these high quality coffees?
So most of the farms can access the labor from around, from the villages, and often it's ladies who are the best pickers. When I used to work at the Munali Coffee years ago, when there was like a really big production going, we went up to 2,000 people sometimes in the season, and you need to specially train the people to pick the ripe cherries, because if you pick the raw beans too early, it affects the quality, and everything along the way will affect the quality on what you drink in this point. So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of labor. It's very labor intensive, but that's also great for the areas where the coffee is grown, because you can employ seasonal staff to pick the coffee, and people get work and money, and it really helps.
When it comes to harvesting in Zambia, do we have access to the correct equipment?
Yes, so the farms usually have their own wet processing facilities already, because once the cherry, we call it cherry when it's red, so it's like pretty much your dress's color when it's and once you pick the cherry, you have 6 hours before you have to process it, otherwise it starts losing the quality. And most of the farms even do the dry processing themselves, but we have a facility at the Coffee Growers Association as well to process the coffee for their farmers who don't have that. So we can produce in Zambia the coffee all the way to the state that it can be exported.
Okay. Has the cost of production increased or decreased over the years?
It's definitely increased.
Yes?
I mean, it's a lot of the costs and US dollars, and you also have to take into consideration that that it takes 2 to 3 years before you get the crop. And most of the loans are in US dollars with the high interest rates. So it's a very big investment you have to put in the coffee, and quite a bit of time before you get the results back as well.
Of course, now in that same vein, what would you say the current market share for coffee in Zambia is?
So if you're talking about like how much of the coffee stays in Zambia, of what is exported or what is produced of Zambian coffee, it's really a minimum percentage.
Really?
What stays here, most of the coffee gets exported. And we have to also remember that when you walk to the supermarket in Zambia, you will find a lot of products which have been made elsewhere. So we have imported products. So the Zambian roasted products are actually tiny percentage of the market. It's all imported. None of it's made here. None of it is made with the Zambian coffee.
Yeah.
So when people make those choices on what they buy in the supermarket shelf, they should consider that as well.
What makes the biggest margin in the coffee value chain and why?
You know, I actually went to listen to this talk about exactly this, and they had the cup of coffee, and then they had like lined up the percentages of what goes to the various parts, to the farmer, to the logistics, to the roaster, and so on. And actually, in that model, most of that money went to actual rentals of the places. And even in Zambia, when you look at the coffee shops around Zambia, they usually pay US dollar rentals. And then you think about that you are selling this cup of coffee in kwachas.
Yeah.
And we know the current situation.
Of course.
It's actually like the percentage which goes to their farmers and the roasters is way smaller than what actually goes to their other things which build up that cost of the cup of coffee.
Yeah. For me, who enjoys my cup of coffee very early in the morning, and I did read somewhere that it's a good thing to have a cup of coffee, no milk, no sugar, to kind of get your blood flowing. What are some of the health benefits of coffee?
I love this because this is one of my favorite questions, because we get it so often. Is coffee unhealthy? And it's not. Actually, coffee is a natural product. We don't add anything to it. So when it's in this stage where it's roasted and when it's a cup of coffee, it's completely pure, natural product. It has health benefits. It's been proven that it prevents Alzheimer's, dementia, the Parkinson's disease, but also it gives you energy. And it's got antioxidants and good stuff in it, and natural stuff. So the best thing to actually have is a black cup of coffee.
I see. So I'm doing it right.
Yes, exactly. That's a fantastic way of drinking coffee.
The World Barista Championships is obviously one of the most prestigious events in the coffee industry. How has COVID-19 affected that?
Oh my word, it's been such a chaos around that. We were supposed to have the World Championships for the Barista and the Brewers Cup in Australia in May, and that got postponed to November. Whether it's going to happen or not, it's still a question mark.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows where we're going and the uncertainty around it. But the problem is, like, I head judge these competitions. We usually share cups with the judges.
Oh my goodness.
And I know somebody tastes the coffee, I go in and taste it as well. And then we score it.
I see.
We can't do that.
You can't do that anymore.
So we have to come up with a completely new way of judging the scoring the coffee and how we're gonna do that. So that also is gonna take a little bit getting used to.
Of course.
And figuring out how we're gonna run this competition. So it's quite interesting.
So the Zambia National Barista Coffee event is also one of the things that you're in charge of. So how does that differ from the international one, I should say?
So basically the national competitions are run by the same organization called World Coffee Events, and we use the rules and regulations for the World Coffee Events, and the idea is that the barista makes 12 drinks, 4 espressos, 4 milk beverages, could be latte, cafe latte or cappuccino or espresso macchiato with the milk anyway, and 4 signature beverages with any ingredients, no alcohol. It's completely non-alcohol competition. So 12 drinks in 15 minutes, and then we taste the coffees, we watch how they operate the machine, and basically they should run a 15-minute time like they would run in a perfect coffee shop. And the coffee must taste really good. So, which is really the whole idea of the competition. But when they go to the World Championships, they do exactly the same thing in that competition. We have now various competitions in the world coffee scene, so brewers and latte art for just a picture and things like that. But in Zambia, we do the barista, and it improves the quality of the local coffees because when people get enthusiastic about something, they tend to do it better.
Of course.
And that really helps with improving the skills and improving their quality and making people to appreciate the skills behind that.
On that note, actually, you mentioned encouragement. How can we encourage Zambians to adopt a more healthier coffee culture, I should say? What does the coffee industry in Zambia really look like? Do we drink that much coffee?
Well, I think I've been involved with the Zambian coffee industry for a lot of years. I think since early 2000 kind of, And we used to not really have coffee shops, and now there's coffee shops everywhere, and you can find a cup of coffee really easily.
That's awesome. So as I wrap up and I let you go, Teija, I just wanted to ask if you have any final words of encouragement for people watching, any words of encouragement for your fellow people in the coffee industry amid this whole chaotic time that we're all in.
Oh yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard for all of us, but I really feel for my customers in the tourism section and restaurants, bars, all those places where people usually have a cup of coffee. But please don't stop drinking the cup of coffee. Have the cup of coffee anyway. Make it at home. Have a look at the videos online on how to make your really good cup of coffee and support the local produce, because we have, what I found in this last month or two, we have amazing things available locally. Vegetables, cheese, coffee, like amazing stuff, really high quality stuff. So I would just want people to use more local and support local businesses.
There you have it. Support local, drink more local coffee, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee as well.